Everyone coming on? Good morning, everybody. Nick from Meat Smoke Fire here. Bit of a special one this week. We promised we'd do something special, hence the bottle of bubbly. So yeah, it was my birthday. So hence we're doing this weird cook. Well, not weird cook, but special cook. So a bit of surf and turf and a bit of bubbly. So let's get this open. Guarantee I won't be able to open it on camera. But what I want to say, thank you to everyone for all the lovely messages all week. Perfect. So let's have a glass of this while we cook today. That's the way it should be, right? So yeah, there's a few people I want to give a shout out to. I don't know if they're on yet. Helena, the people I need to shout out to? Maybe we'll hold that back. But first one, oh, that's nice and full. That's definitely mine. First one, Claire, my neighbour. I believe it's her birthday today. Don't know if she's on, but we definitely heard Jake, her husband, singing happy birthday to her this morning. Very good voice. So happy birthday, Claire. And thank you for the cards that Claire makes, birthday cards, greetings cards. So she dropped some over, or we picked some up, in fact, because they're in proper lockdown, self-isolating. So we picked some cards up for them last week when we dropped off the wings. So I also want to say thank you to everyone who's been doing our cooks. We've seen lots of lovely cooks this week, which is great. So there we go. We've got everyone sorted now. Put that over there. So yeah, cheers to you and to me. 50 on Thursday. So lots of lovely gifts as well. Right. Anyone to shout out to already?
Jack.
Jack, as in Jack. Hello, Jack. Jack with the lip slug. But hi, Jack. Good to see you.
Chubby.
Carlos, Chubby. Hi, Chubby. Hi, Carlos. All on. Some of the usuals. Paul White, no doubt, is on. Haven't seen him yet, anyway. So today we're going to do a couple of cooks, a little bit different. But first, usual story. Let's show you who's here. So, Andrea.
Morning.
Attached. So we've got a wire coming out of her trousers, so I can't go too far just to make sure. So Andy here, still with us, 74 weeks in.
That's why we're drinking at 11:30.
Helena over here taking all the questions. Oh, you can't see. Hang on, Andy, get a bit closer.
Yep.
There you go. So typing away and taking the questions. So do ask questions as we go.
Yep. Sorry. Go.
There you go. So this morning's cook. We are doing a picanha. It's a Brazilian cut of beef. It's reasonably big. So we're going to send some out to Helena's parents and Helena's sister. They're all going to come. We call it click and collect. I cook it and they come and eat it. I don't know how that works, but anyway, eat it, well, take it away and eat it. So they're going to click and collect that. And we're going to do some lobster. So if you come over, Andy, we've got a couple of lobster tails here on ice. So we had to practice this earlier in the week, so that was great. And we're going to do some hots, as we call it, some little mini roast potatoes to go with those. I prepared a bit of salad, so we'll see how we're going. So I was trying to download an app because stupidly I just realised Helena has Andy has my phone as the camera and Helena has my iPad, so I've just lost the app. So I'm downloading an app. The Meter app. We're using this product here, the Meter Block, today to watch, to control and look at how we do our cook. And if I can get into this, which I can't do at the moment, yeah, I can. Anyway, we'll come back to that. But it's monitoring our cook. It's telling us the temperature. So what I've been doing with this egg, what you'll be able to see, Andy, if you come in. We're just over 100, well, we were at 110 degrees a minute ago. It's just dipped a bit. We've got a tiny little crack up here. We've got, if you look at the bottom door, we've got a tiny little gap there, about just under a centimetre. And this egg is set up for low and slow. So we've got the convector in there with the feet pointing up. We've got the stainless steel grid, and we've got a lovely bit of beef on there that we're bringing up to temperature really slowly. And the point of that is I want it to be the same cook end to end. So those of you who've been on the classes, you'll have seen this, you'll have tasted this. We do it on every class pretty much. You'll have tasted it. What we're looking to do is bring the temperature of that bit of meat up to about 5 degrees below where we want it. Now I want to serve this rare, so I want this to be about 52, 53 degrees centigrade. So I'm going to bring it up to about 48. So let's have a look. It was, and it doesn't look too exciting at the moment, and that's because it's cooking slowly. But if I probe it, a bit low there, about 48 there, a little bit higher there, so we're pretty much there. I'm going to give it another couple of minutes and then we'll take it off. What we're going to do with that, it doesn't look that great at the moment, but what we're going to do is take it off, and then we're going to get the egg nice and hot, and we're going to sear it at the end. If you're going to cook something like that in your oven, you might put it in there. What you do is seal it first. You'd sear it in a pan first to get that caramelization of the outside, and then you put it in the oven to finish it. Now, an egg being made of ceramic, it's not very good at cooling down, so what we're going to do is do that process in reverse. So we call it a reverse sear. So we're going to do the bit in the oven first, and then we're going to do the sear. But I've done it at a really low temperature because I want the whole thing to be the same cook. Hopefully that makes some sense. Okay, so that's what we're doing with this reverse searing here. So the second part of this, we're going to take it out, we're going to get the egg really hot, and then we're going to sear it. There'll be a lot of smoke, there'll be some flames. That's when it gets exciting. But at the moment that looks pretty dull, pretty boring. Okay, so we'll come back to that and give it another 2 or 3 minutes. So what we're going to do in this egg, I'm going to open it up a little bit because it's just been trundling along, and you can do that at home. You know, if you've got guests coming over, light it, get it ready, leave the temperature low, and then open it up to where you want it to be. So I want this one to be about 180 to 200 degrees. So you can see at the moment we're down here about 170. It's coming up already. We're going to let it come up, but what we're going to do first is we're just going to get some potatoes. So what I've done, part boiled some little potatoes. I've got this is the cast iron skillet that's designed for the Minimax. I use it all the time on the large. So we're going to get these in this pan. We're going to get some oil on them, some salt on them, and then we're going to basically fry them, so saute them, but we call them mini roasties. They turn out like little roast potatoes. So let me just grab some oil. And the salt is over there, right? So potatoes go in. Now you could get the pan hot first. I'm not going to worry about that. It'll take a little bit longer this way, but we've got some time this morning. So good amount of olive oil in there. We'll probably top it up. I'm just going to get my trusty mould and salt. So we're going to get that in there. Now I like a lot of salt on my potatoes. Well, a lot of salt on everything. If you go to a Michelin starred restaurant, the amount of salt they'll use will blow your mind. We're all taught, don't use salt, don't use salt, don't use salt, and then it doesn't taste of anything. So anyway, eggs coming up to 200. I need to put a cooking grid in there, obviously. So I'm going to go direct. I'm going to take my plate setter out. Get rid of my pizza stone that we used last week, and I've seen loads of you doing pizzas this week. Get the grid in, and we'll get that. I'll leave it at the top level. I could put it further down, but we'll get those in and get those started to cook. Perfect. Right. Just going to give my hands a quick wash. So Helena, any questions?
Where is the meat from?
Where's the meat from? Brilliant question. The meat is from the Gogs. Gog Magog, or no, it's now called the Gog Farm Shop. They're a local farm shop to Cambridge. They are brilliant. Miles is my butcher. Miles, Jack, the whole team. But yeah, it's from there. They do picanhas, and I'll tell you where that's from, what cut that is, but they do picanhas that are absolutely to die for. So I will always go there. They've never let me down. I tend to buy all my picanhas from there.
I'm a little bit faster.
Oh, apparently Helena's thirsty, she's having a sip. I think Andy should have a sip.
Yeah.
Here you go, Andy, I'll take the camera.
That's all right, I can.
Have a.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cheers.
There you go.
Make it last.
Yeah,
Thanks.
keep it going.
Hydration.
from
All
the
about
gogs-
hydration.
From the gogs, picanha, it's a piece of the rump of the animal. So its other name is a beef rump cap. The reason if you haven't heard of it, it's because it's a Brazilian cut of beef. Let me just... So butchers across the world, they all cut their meat differently, and it's born out of how that meat, they were able to refrigerate or not meat in the past. And so basically you want a whole cow, you want to cook it, the whole thing, you want to sell it all sell the whole lot in one go. So they cut them into different cuts. Why are you two laughing? What have I done?
Someone thought
Andrew was going to chug a whole glass.
Yeah. It's been done before. Yeah.
Whoever that was.
Different bits of meat, so different cuts, and they cut them that way so they basically sell the whole animal for when the next one comes in. Now, we in the UK, we don't normally have a picanha, but lots of the butchers are now doing it. Picanha is one of my favourites. It's at the top of the rump, so if you think of the back end of the cow, it's literally the top bit where the fat is, and it's just the top muscle peeled off. It's normally a triangular muscle. Normally is about 1.4 to 1.6 kilos. However, I walked in the other day, and bless Miles, he had the biggest picanha he'd ever seen, he told me. So he sold me this. So we'll have a look. We're getting up there now. 48, yeah. Right. GOG don't do online meat orders. So if you want to get picanha, Turner and George online, brilliant. Ginger Pig don't do picanha. They don't do it because it means you're left with a piece of beef that they then can only sell as a rump roast. So you can't put it as a rump steak, because this would be part of your rump steak. The way I like to think of it is a rump steak tends to have two muscles if you're looking down on it, and this is the picanha bit. So yeah, they don't tend, some butchers don't want to do it. If you find a butcher who does, brilliant. If you find a butcher who'll do it but doesn't know that it's a special cut, you'll get it really cheap. The picanha was about half the price only 5 years ago. So anyway.
Have you put a rub on it?
Have no rub on it. This piece of picanha has just got mould and salt on it. If you look at it, it's difficult to tell, but I've scored the skin. You'll see it when we scored the fat. You'll see it when we roast it. But it's just got mould and salt, which you can see lots of here on it. If I put this in, 48 point something. I'm going to take it off. What I want to do, I want this to get up to, we want to cook it and get this to 53. But I'm going to take it off 5 degrees lower than where I want it, because then I've got to sit it. It will continue to rise a bit, and then I've got to sear it, and that will bring the temperature up. So I'm going to get a bit of foil, get this thing off. Yes, definitely. Yeah, so the question was, sorry, I'm probably rustling. The question was, do Philip Warren do picanha? I believe they do. Brilliant butcher down in Cornwall. But yeah, just go and see your local butcher. Tell them it's the rump cap if they otherwise, and it's triangular, and it's just a single muscle. This one isn't triangular, but we will see what happens. It's supposed to be the biggest one Miles has ever seen. So right, let's get that wrapped. All I've done with that, wrap it in foil. I'm going to put it to one side. And now in my egg, I'm going to take my convector out. I've been cooking that indirectly. So if you look in here, I've got my convector sitting in the basket, pushing the heat up and around, making it into an oven. So I'm just going to take that out. He says, catching it. I'll fix that in a second. I'll pop this under my table. I'll pop that back in. And now what we want to do is get this egg hot. Seriously hot. So I'm going to take it up to about 250 degrees C. So open the top about halfway, and then I'm going to open the bottom quite a way as well. And what you should see with this egg, it's dropped down. We've obviously just opened it up, so the temperature's dropped, but what you should see is it will start to rise, and it will come round to 250 quite quickly, and we'll be ready to start cooking that. Okay. So let's let that warm up. I'm going to go behind you, Andy. We'll come in here with our potatoes. So cooking nicely, we're going to give them a little zhuzh. So if you've got any cast iron pan at home, anything that doesn't have a silicone handle or anything like that, get it on the egg, use it. They're brilliant. Just with the edges, it stops everything falling out, makes it really easy. And you can sear these beautifully. So, right. So we're going to get those ready. Right, to go with our Brazilian cut of beef, that's British beef, but it's a Brazilian cut, we're going to make a chimichurri sauce. So we'll go over here, we'll make the sauce, because it's best, the longer it sits, it's better. Well, ideally you do it two to 4 hours, but we're just going to do it live, and then we'll get that, and we're going to then sprinkle that over our beef when it's cooked. I'm going to come back to our lobster tails in a minute. They're just sitting on ice. Oh, can you sear the picanha direct on the coals, dirty style? Yes, you can. It's quite fatty though, so do be careful. You'll see when we get cooking on this, and there'll be a lot of smoke. And when you open it, you must burp it. This is probably one of those cooks where you could take the hair off your arm, your eyebrows, your fringe. Yeah. As a friend of mine, Charlie Bradford, did, who is actually the MD of Gogs. Sorry, we've got a motorbike going by. The MD of the Gogs. It was his birthday on Wednesday, so happy birthday, Charlie. But yes, Charles. I call him Charlie, everyone else calls him Charles. So yeah, you could do it on there, but it's probably better, say for the first time you do it normally. Right, we are going to make a chimichurri, which is basically it's a South American sauce that goes with beef, so Argentinian and so on. So I'm going to take some coriander. I'm going to take a good bunch of parsley, probably all my parsley. Now typically they would do it with only parsley, but I'm going to use both. I like a bit of coriander in there. So we're going to get those and we're going to chop them up nice and fine. So just the easiest way, just roll them up, get your knife, and then you can chop them up. Get rid of the ends, just run my knife through them. Beautiful. Right, get the bowl. That lot can go straight in the bowl. Now, to it, and I've done a bit of chopping already. Let me get rid of those. I'm just going to wash these quickly. Any questions, Helena, while I'm...
Someone asked if they could use Le Creuset, and I've said yes.
Absolutely, you can use Le Creuset. The only thing is, when you put it in your egg, you'll get smoke on the outside. It will colour it a little bit, but you can scrub it off. It does scrub off fine.
Someone's recommended using baking soda to help get it clean.
Oh, perfect. Didn't know that. There you go. I'm learning. Brilliant.
And someone else has recommended Staub cast iron cookware.
Staub cast iron, Lodge, the American version. It really doesn't make a lot of difference. The Big Green Egg stuff, their pans are fantastic. They've put a lot of research and work into them. I'm using them all the time. I love them. But yeah, right. I've got garlic. I've got 2 cloves of garlic here. If you like your garlic, go with 4 cloves. However, I'm just, because I'm not using so much garlic, I'm going to add a bit of shallot. So I've got half a banana shallot in there. I have a whole red chili. Spice it up, see how you like it. We're going in with that. I have lost my lemon. There's one over there. Might need another one in a minute, Helena.
Okay.
I'm going to put a bit of lemon in there. Whoops. Bit of lemon. And not the Prosecco. About a tablespoon and a half of red wine vinegar. Give it a bit of acid to go with the lemon. And then a lot, and I need to go and collect it from over here. a lot of olive oil, and I mean a lot. I'm probably going to take the little thing off. This is an olive oil sauce essentially. So let's get that mixed up and see how. Oh, that's going to need some more, and then we'll get some salt and pepper in there. So let's put that up. I'm just using a light olive oil, but for this, because it is a marinade, a sauce, you could use some extra virgin if you wanted. And then we're going to put some black pepper in, a bit of salt. Grab the salt back. There we go. And there is our chimichurri. Now the idea with this is you get to drizzle it over your steak once you've cooked it. So we'll put it to one side, and that will make a beautiful sauce for us. Right, Helena, any questions?
Someone asked what the sauce was called.
Chimichurri.
Chimichurris, I've told them, and that the recipe's on the website.
Yeah.
No, I haven't got any other questions
Okay.
at the moment.
Let me just wash my hands. Is Lucy and Neil on?
Yes, Lucy's on, Annie's on, Rach is on,
Brilliant.
Sarah's on,
So a quick.
Mr. White is on.
Oh, they're all on. So I better get on the camera. But cheers, Neil. Happy 50th. I believe it was last weekend. So happy 50th to you as well. We don't know if. Well, let's say it anyway. They might be on, they might not. But Claire and David. Steele. Happy 35th wedding anniversary. I believe it is on Monday. So David, yeah. I know you've got an egg. You like your egg. So yeah, happy cooking and a happy anniversary. So to you. Anyone else?
No, I don't think so.
Right then, let's go and have a look how our cooks are getting on. I can see. Let's show them this, Andy. We're over 250 already, so that didn't take long to warm up. That egg is ready now for that steak, so I'm going to close it a tiny bit. It's a little bit hotter than I wanted, so that's fine. But we'll go and have a look at our potatoes first. They're looking good. Oh yeah, it's starting to get some colour on them. Should have put my apron on. I know I'm going to get covered. Usual story. I'm on shirt number 2 for today already. Right, let's start to think about our lobster as well. So we bring all of this together at roughly the same time. I'm just going to grab my knife. So I have lobster tails. In fact, they are these are from the Caribbean. I bought them from the Fish Society. They're frozen. They were frozen, but they're beautiful as well. Anything, you can buy whole lobsters and cook them. We do it quite often while we're on holiday. I just couldn't get one this week, so we've gone for frozen lobster tails. All I'm going to do is chop them in half. I think I said last week, if you have a whole lobster and you have it live, there is a little cross on the top of it. If its head's forward, if its body's that way, the cross goes across the top of the head. And to dispatch it, you basically put the point of the knife in on the cross and bring it down through the head, and that will instantly kill it. The idea is that you put them in the freezer for an hour beforehand, and that basically puts them into coma, apparently, so they don't feel it. You will get, when you do it, you will get a muscle or a nerve twitch. Don't worry about that. But anyway, so we're going to take these lobster tails. I'm just going to cut them in half. So straight down the middle. You need a decent knife. He says I did sharpen this morning. Oh, go the other side. There we go. Chop them in half. Let's do the other one. Start the other way around. These Caribbean ones are quite tough. There we go, that's got the shirt. So they're ready now. We could start cooking those. But what I think I'll do is I'll put those on the ice for a second. I don't want to overcook these. I'll get the beef ready and then we'll cook these, and the potatoes should be ready at the same time. So they're nice and ready. With those though, I am going to do, where have I put it? Sorry, Andy. I'm going to take my trusty little pan. I've got a dollop of butter in there. I've got some garlic and I've got some parsley that I've already chopped. I'll put the garlic in with the butter for now. We'll put the parsley in at the end. I'll drop that on there. Let's put that there. Easier for Andy in the camera if I put it there. That's just going to melt that butter. Turn it down a tiny bit. Melt that butter. Get the garlic going through it, and we'll use that as a base when we cook the lobster. So let's do the steak. My egg is perfect. So Andy, you might want to come here. Right. So, not a very exciting piece of meat at the moment. Not much colour on it. Eggs exactly 250. So we're going to burp it. Open it up. Going to get this piece of meat in here. Now I'm not going to use a thermometer. Get that in there. We're over direct heat and we're going to give it a good sear. This is going to bring it up those last few degrees. So close the lid, let it sit. Have a look at that, Andy. Most people think that is blood. That isn't blood. When you have a steak, it's hung. A good piece of beef is hung to drain all the liquids out of it, to dry it out, and so on. If you think of a black pudding, if that steak piece of meat had blood in it, that blood would have congealed and gone black. Now, when you slaughter an animal, all of that blood is drained from the animal. So what you're seeing here is actually just water and a molecule called myoglobin. And myoglobin changes from red to brown when it goes through a temperature. So if you think of a rare steak, it's red. A well done steak, it's brown. And it's essentially the molecule that's in here that changes from red to brown as it's cooked, as it's subjected to heat.
And someone said to turn the probe out of the beef.
Yes, I did take the probe out of the beef. Yeah, I should have got the meter app working. I knew it was just about below 48 beforehand, before I gave Helen the iPad to type on, so that was my fault. But yeah, this myoglobin in here, the only difference between a well done and a rare steak is the amount of water in it and the colour of the myoglobin. There's no blood in it whatsoever. So I'm just going to roll that up. So yeah, if you've got guests who don't like rare steaks, you can tell them that. So what's happening in here now? This egg, open it up. It's got a big cold bit of meat in there. We'll open it a tiny bit, but we're starting to sear the outside of that meat. So I'm going to give it a couple of minutes to sear. We'll have a look in this one. Give those potatoes a bit of a zhuzh. Again, our butter's melting nicely. So these were part boiled potatoes, so relative, a little bit soft, and we're just searing those up, giving them some colour. They've got on them is olive oil and salt, and then in a minute I'm going to put some rosemary on them. That's why that's hanging around. If you look in this one, Andy, it's just the butter. It's melted nicely. We'll get that in there. Let the garlic infuse into it, and then we'll be ready to do our lobster tails. So let's close that down. Let's have a look at this one. Keeping you on your toes today, Andy.
Yeah.
But at least it's not cold this week. I didn't burp that. Don't do that, people. Especially when you've turned it over. But now I'm going to turn it. Can you see on the back we've got a lovely crust forming? I think I'm going to give that a little bit more. So we'll put that back there. Give it a little bit more. Do remember to burp it, especially when you turn it over onto the fat side. The fat starts to melt, it drips onto the coals. If you open that, you are going to get woof. When we turn that over, you'll see this smoke here. We're getting a little bit of smoke, but you'll see it will change. It will go really white. It smells phenomenal. Our neighbours are probably quite used to it. But anyway, any questions?
I think that's funny. Ed asked, how do you season a cast iron skillet?
So Ed asked, how do you season a cast iron skillet? Most of them come pre-seasoned. The big green eggs ones certainly do. But yeah, all you need to do is put oil in there, get it nice and warm. It'll soak in. Only a tiny bit of oil, not just a wipe of oil. Get it in there, it'll soak in a bit, and then let it cool down, and then just repeat the process, and that will build up a non-stick surface on it. Lots of people will tell you that you should never wash them with soapy water. I think that's utter rubbish. Mine get washed all the time by Andy most of the time.
Yeah.
That seems to be her job while she's here, washing all the messy pans that I make. But yeah, you can wash them with detergent. It won't take that off. It's utter rubbish in my opinion. So yeah, just give them a rinse, give them a wash. Obviously don't leave them soaking for ages, even though we do that. But yeah.
So,
Tom remembers. Tom is my nephew. Well done, Tom. We did a cooking, a video cooking class with him, well, back at the beginning of this, and Tom has turned into a barbecue king. He's always out there, so brilliant. Well done, Tom. Yeah, and Angus, and we had about 5 families all cooking at the same time. So good on them. So I'm going to burp it for you, Tom. Here we go, Andy. Let's have a little burp. So open it a little bit, let that pressure equalise, then you can pull it open. I will take hairs off, no doubt, today, but let's turn that over. Have a look at that. That's looking delicious now. Okay, so we're going to go on. Now I'm going to put this away from the flames. You can already see the flames building because of that fat. So we're going to shut it. And I'll put it to one side, and what you'll see in a second is that smoke will just start to change from, you know, it's quite clear. Here it goes. Yeah, that is the fat dripping down, vaporizing, going all over your meat, smoking like a madman. You might want to come forward, Andy. Don't panic. So we don't want to leave it on that side for too long, because that will catch and burn. So
Wowzers.
yeah, that's barbecue.
Yeah.
Right, let's have a look at these. So we're in with that. Potatoes are looking mighty fine. That is bubbling away our little sauce here. So I'm gonna, as soon as I get this steak off, I will get the lobsters on. We'll let that rest, that steak. They're looking good. So, right, let's get that off. Sorry, Andy. Right, this bit is when you burp it. So, you might want to put your fingers away. Lift it a little bit, and then you will see it clear in a minute. There, can you see it's cleared? That is the flame starting. So now you can lift it. And if we have a lovely, oh, beautiful colour. You see that? I might give it a 30 seconds more. Get it in there. Don't panic, I'm not wearing gloves, I'm not burning myself. Get this back in. It can go back into these juices. It was already hot, nice and hot. Look at that smoke, that's delicious. And what you will have seen here, as soon as you shut it after you've had it up, it will come way up, and then the temperature will start dropping back. So this was 350 a second ago. It's dropping back once that fire goes out. As soon as it lights again, it will get hotter. So I think that's enough. So we're going to open it, let the fire clear, smoke clear. We're good to go. Good pair of tongs. Beautiful. So I'll get that into that foil. You can have a little look there, Andy. So those of you who are in Scotland when we were up there last summer know exactly what this is like. So Mike and Jack, Paul. So we shut this down. I'm done with this egg. Close the lid. All of that charcoal we're going to save. So that can just sit there now and rest, and then we'll cut it in a minute. So let's get back over here. Open we go. Right, lobster tails, let's get them in there. So they're just going on. Just put a lobster tail. I'm going to do them that way up. Now, if you look at the colour of them, they're this lovely pinky brown colour. That will change as they cook. And the meat also will go from this translucent colour to an opaque colour. And that's how you know how they cook. So we're going to get that in there. What I'm going to do, put that parsley in the butter. Okay, it's gone in, give it a little stir. We'll put a little bit of that on there just to moisten them as they cook. And we'll get some of that rosemary. Get that in with our potatoes. You could put chunks of or whole cloves of garlic in there if you wanted. Garlicky potatoes would be delish. I rest the meat about 15 minutes, but today we probably won't because we probably haven't got time. So let's give those a cook. Right, so we've got a chimichurri over here, and we will put this up on the website. It's still not up.
Wasn't it?
I don't think so. Anyway, our lovely red slaw. We love this with picanha as well. So it's got it's just peppers, red peppers, carrots, grated carrot, red cabbage, a little bit of Dijon mustard, bit of oil, and some chilies in there, and a bit of coriander, and it's delicious. Nicola. Oh, Nicholas is on. Sorry, you've got to be clearer. So, apparently we have Nicholas on there. Hi, Nicholas. And the others. Oh, and the others. The rest of the family. They're our friends from Heidelberg. We spoke with them on Thursday. We're going to speak with them on their wedding anniversary on Tuesday. So yeah, they should have been in Scotland, unfortunately, on holiday, and not happened. But hi, Sabina, Bern, Nicholas, Philip. Yeah. Oh, love that you're watching. So yeah, perfect. Right. So let's get our bit of beef over here. I'm going to rest it on the board. Get that out of the way. Just a tiny bit of clearing up. So any questions, Helena, while we are...
Simon Higgins has just said full meal though, with the low temp and high temp of the egg. Any suggestions?
Yes, so full meal. So I knew this would come up. Okay. Can you get me a plate or something that will go under there just to catch all the juices? That'll do perfectly. This chopping board has got a little bit that runs down, so I just want to catch the juices instead of them going all over the garden. So, so Simon asked, doing a whole meal like this, could you do it high temperature, low temperature? What I would do, it's a tricky one. But what you could do is get your picanha cooked first to the point where it's at 48 degrees. Take it out, leave it, then do that up to 200 degrees, and then sear this. So then just build the temperature, because those don't take long to cook at all. They're like 5-6 minutes. So then you do the sear on this. Obviously you won't be able to rest it as long, but you'll see it is such a juicy cut of meat that that really doesn't matter. So,
but as Carlos says, the best option is a second egg.
The best option is a second egg. I'll give you that. Thank you, Carlos. I was trying not to be a salesperson there. Yeah, this is the ideal opportunity to have a large and a mini max, and you could do this sear in the mini max absolutely fine. We should have done that today instead of using two larges, but yeah. Any other questions?
No, don't think
okay, so don't need that anymore. Let me put that out of the way. Let's grab a little. I've got a little bit of rocket here. I've got this beautiful chopping board, slather board. So I'm just going to put my rocket out just to make it look pretty. But this is a slather board. It's another Big Green Egg product. There you go. I am doing my salesperson bit, but I use them, and we're going to put our whole meal down there. So, right, let's have a look at our lobster. So our butter, just starting to catch, but we'll get some of that on there. I'm going to turn those over for a couple of minutes. Oop. And then our potatoes, a mini judge. They're looking fabulous. Oops, lost one. Again, we do these in the classes for lunch. Everybody loves them. I'm going to take this sauce off and I'll just put it on top of that pan. So 1 second, stay where you are, Andy.
Oh, someone's asked for tips for oysters.
Tips for oysters: eat them raw. Job done. That's not what you meant, was it?
No.
So you can take them out, you can put them in a tempura batter and fry them like that. You could leave them in the shell and cook them in the shell just as you can with scallops. What was that funny? Why are you laughing?
Carlos has said that Mini Max is the way forward and we'll have to wait for his birthday and a big hint to Mrs. M.
Oh, okay. Nikki, Carlos wants a Mini Max. Yeah, so oysters,
Can you confirm the temp for the lobster?
temp for the lobster should be about 200. It's a little bit low. I'm not going to panic. 20 degrees either way on any cook is fine by me. Don't panic. I think I tell people this in the classes. They come in and they always say, "Oh, but I couldn't cook. My egg wasn't 180 degrees." I'm like, "Was it 160 or 200?" Yes, it was in between that. Cook. Don't worry about it. Your oven inside will be less accurate than the thermometer on your egg, and mine's bang on 200 at the moment. So, yeah, don't panic about that. Right, I'm going to flip those lobster tails back now. Give them another baste. Now, what I did the other day is just probe them to see how even the temperature is all the way through. They're looking nice. You want them to still be just a little bit opaque. This will flare up a little bit sometimes. Caught that garlic there, so I'm going to grab my Thermopen. 50. I want them done a bit more than that, but they will go really fast. I did them to 63 the other day, so we are seconds away from those. So while those are finishing, let's do a bit of slicing of that beef.
Target temperature on the lobster?
Target temperature on the lobster, I will check it out. I did them to 63. I think maybe we could take them off a bit earlier than that. We did them in the week. I thought it was a little bit too high. So I'm going to touch this.
Is that temperature chart on your website?
Yes, there is a temperature chart on my website. It's from a guy at amazingribs.com. It is a brilliant website. He's a guy called Meathead Goldwyn. I'm just going to wash my knife because I had it on the... Yeah, a guy called Meathead Goldwyn. He has a book called Meathead as well. Don't know if you can hear me back there, but he has a book called Meathead. It's brilliant. Now, when you're cutting a piece of meat like this, if you pull it, I don't know if you can see this, Andy, while you're drinking your prosecco.
Sorry, I'm hot.
No, you're fine. Can you see there's a grain of meat? It's stripy. There's a grain here. We want to be cutting across the grain. So I'm going to start cutting there. So that is the triangle that I was talking about. This one's a bit... So we might end up cutting this in half and then cutting it like that. So I want to cut along that. So what I'm going to do is turn it over and we will cut across that grain. Okay. So what you should be able to see when you cut it is the grain isn't running along the meat. You want to be cutting across it, and that makes it taste more tender. So with this then you can do it nice and thin. Now what you should be able to see is this is nice and juicy. There's some good pinkness to it. This is one of my all-time favourites, and I better not cut too much because we've got to send some of this away. So I'll cut these in half and we'll put them on our slather board. Watch me lean into all of this juice. That's plenty for us, isn't it? Okay, and then I'm going to dress it. So I've got a spoon here. So I'm going to dress it with our chimichurri. Now if you've not had picanha, you have to try it. It's one of my all-time favourites. And if you end up with a piece as big as this, you can always have it as sandwiches. It is fabulous, absolutely fabulous. Right, I'm going to wash my hands, check my lobster tails. Oh yeah, they're starting to, can you see they're starting to pull away from the shell? They are done. Oh, overdone. Come on, Williams, that one's perfect. It's just there. Lovely. So I'm going to grab my board. I think that's probably the easiest way. I'm going to put this down here. Touch my lighter. Lose my spare potato. Didn't see that, did you?
I'm not quite sure.
So let's get our lobster tails out. Oops, nearly lost one. God, I don't want to lose these on the floor. They're looking stunning. Oh, smelling beautiful.
When we do rack of lamb, we put the convective feet down, don't we?
Yes, so somebody's asking about when we cook a rack of lamb.
No, they haven't.
Oh, okay. What have they asked? About which way you put the
Someone said
convector?
they liked doing, what about a rack of lamb? So this is-
Okay, so rack of lamb, have a look on my website. We do it directly on the plate setter, but we turn it over, feet down, and we cook on the back of it. About 180 degrees. You don't want to go any hotter, you'll burn the fat. But yeah, cook it directly that way. There you've got it, surf and turf. How's that? That looks beautiful.
Yeah.
We're going to have a lovely lunch
Got
today.
a feast.
Yeah. Right, any other questions? We're done.
Can we just have a reminder on the temperature of the
Yeah.
lobster?
Temperature of the lobster, I did it to just about 62, 63 degrees. I will look it up and put the recipe on the website to make sure that that is... we had it like this the other day, it was delicious. But really what you're looking for is the colour to change. It goes to from translucent to an opaque colour like that. And it will start to pull away from the shell at the edge a little bit.
How long do we cook the potatoes for?
Potatoes were cooked for about 20 minutes, probably done them a little bit much, but you know, I'm trying to get everything into a class, but they're fine. Picanha, the first part, the reverse sear, the bringing it up to temperature took about an hour and a quarter on this one. It's particularly large. I'm going to wrap this bit up. I'll go and get a bit more foil for it, and that's going to the family. So, but yeah, it took about an hour and a quarter. So you want to bring it up to about 48 degrees if you like it pink like that. Any other questions?
No. Oh, someone asked for a bit of advice on pork belly.
Pork belly. There is a great, it's the most popular recipe on my website, slow roasted pork belly. Put it in your fridge overnight uncovered. That is to dry the skin out. Make sure you've scored the skin nice and deep. Use a Stanley knife, not a kitchen knife. So much easier with a Stanley knife. And then when you cook it, cover it in loads of oil, the fat, loads of oil, loads of salt, and put it skin side down above your plate setter. The heat radiating up through the plate setter will crisp up the skin. I do it at about 110 degrees for 7 or 8 hours. What you're trying to do is get to the point where that connective tissue in the pork belly melts, so it goes really soft and unctuous, but at the same time that heat coming up will crackle the skin. If it hasn't crackled by the end, just turn your egg up to 220 degrees and that will crackle the skin in about 15 minutes, and it will be stunning. Look at the photo. I only looked at it yesterday. Look at the photo on my website. It's delicious.
Hi, Neve. Hello.
Hello, Neve. Anyone else? Any other questions? Our food's getting cold. No.
No, that's
Perfect. So next week, thank you again for watching. Next week is tapas. So we'll probably do a range of dishes. So I will try and get those up on the website for those of you who want to do it on the Saturday night after we've done this. Get all the recipes up there. And then we've got lots of choices. So if you look at the website, we've come up with ideas for burgers, for Nando's, for
So someone
all sorts.
said Greek style with flatbreads again.
Greek style with flatbreads. Yes, my brother did the flatbreads with our lamb.
Yeah.
Chubby and Annie and Tom, and they loved it.
Rack of
By the way,
lamb.
Chubby, well, he got the name Chubby before he was chubby. He is now. He's grown into the Williams body, as I like to call it.
So someone else has said rack of lamb.
Rack of lamb, okay, dead easy. We can do that in a class. That takes about 15-20 minutes.
And I've said to Rachel we'll add prawns to tapas next week.
Prawns to tapas. Okay, some big prawns. Brilliant. All right, guys. Well, we'll leave you because we're going to eat this now. So thank you for watching. If you've got any questions, just give us a shout. nick@meatsmokefire.co.uk. No K on Nick. Or via the website and so on. If I haven't replied to any of you from the week, it has been mad this week. Give me a nudge. But yeah, thank you for watching, and we'll leave you to it. So have a lovely weekend. Cheers.